Hello everyone! So autumn is quickly coming around the corner. I am very excited. I have been enjoying summer a ton, but autumn is just where my heart thrives and it lives. I know everyone says that. Everyone's basic when it comes to autumn, and I fall in that category as well. Today I am talking about my most anticipated book releases that are coming out in fall. So what I mean by fall, I mean by the 3 months, September, October, and November are pretty much the fall season. So all the books I'll be talking about today are coming out in those 3 months. As always, I'm not listing every single book that is coming out because we would be here literally forever. So what I'm talking about today are the ones that I am particularly most excited for, and I'm very much so planning on reading on all of these. So yeah, there's a lot. Maybe, I don't know, not a lot. I think I previously thought that there was a ton of new releases I was interested in, but after looking at my list, there's like a decent amount, not an overwhelming amount, which is a good thing. So I have done one of these videos for every season this year. So I've done one for winter, spring, summer, and now we are fall. So I will link those all down below as well as the info card right here for you to see. Starting in September, my favorite month of the year because it holds my birthday and my son's birthday. The first book I want to talk about today is Two Dark Reigns by Kendara Blake, which comes out on September 4th. This is the third book in the Three Dark Crowns series, and I am so excited for it. So I have read Three Dark Crowns from the very beginning a couple years ago, and it's one of my favorite YA fantasy series. It's all about these three sisters that were separated at birth, and at the age of 16 they are brought together and kind of like fight to the death, and whoever wins gets crowned. And that is what this series is all about. I don't think this is the last book in the series. I want to say there's either 1 or 2 left, but either way, I'll keep reading them as long as she writes them because they're just interesting and very fast reads. So if you like kind of dark, gritty YA fantasy books, definitely check this one out. Also on the 4th is The Proposal by Jasmine Guillory. I have already read this book. This is a adult chicklet book all about this girl that goes to a Dodgers baseball game with her boyfriend, and he proposes to her, and they've been dating like literally a few months, and so she rejects that proposal, and it's kind of the ramifications after that. She meets somebody new, and that's what it's all about. I didn't love this book, but it was enjoyable, so either way, I guess I'm still anticipating its release, even though I've already read it. Also on the 4th is a really big week for book releases, is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. Christina Lauren is actually 2 authors that combine their names together, and they write usually adult chicklet books. The past 2 books that they have released I have just loved, so I'm very excited for this one. So this follows Hazel and Josh, you guessed it, and they're friends, and they decide to set up each other on like dates, but then they'll go home together. So it's kind of like a friend with benefits thing going on here, which always can lead to complications and things like that. So I'm expecting a lot of steaminess and angstiness and romance, and I can't wait to read it. Also on the 4th, like I said, popular day, is When the Lights Go Out by Mary Kapika. Every time I read this title, I just think of that 5 song. Baby, when the lights go out. Probably not a good idea. This one I don't know a ton about because it is a mystery thriller. Those I kind of just go into blind, not knowing much. I have read 2 of Mary Kapika's previous books and have enjoyed them, so sorry, the ones that are mystery thrillers I won't be emphasizing a ton as far as the description, because I personally just like going into those not knowing a ton at all. But either way, very excited for it. On September 18th is Wild Card by Marie Lu. This is the 2nd book in her Warcross series. This is a YA fantasy series all about like kind of a virtual reality game, and a girl gets swept up into it, and it's just a really fun fantasy book, I would say. If you're really into gaming and things like that, this is a great series to read. It's not a ton of depth to it, but it's a fun time, so very excited to read this one. Also on the 18th we have Pride by E.B. Zaboy, and this is a urban retelling of Pride and Prejudice. I'm very excited for it. The cover looks amazing. The plot, I mean, it's going to be an urban retelling of Pride and Prejudice. I think that's a phenomenal idea, and I really hope that she executes it well, and I can't wait to read it. All of these I can't wait to read. How many times am I going to say that? Probably like 50. The 25th we have one of my most anticipated books of the entire year, and that is Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. This is the 2nd book in the Villain series, with Vicious being the 1st. I read Vicious a few years ago, and it was one of my favorite books of the year and of all time. This is a dark, book that's all about kind of good versus evil. We have these two students, Victor and Eli, who decide to do this experiment together to see if when they kind of die for a few minutes, if they can give themselves supernatural powers, like superhuman powers, and they do. And so this book is just kind of the quintessential tale of good versus evil, right versus wrong, or maybe it's evil versus evil. I cannot wait to see what this book is going to do. I am very, very excited for it and very nervous because I love Vicious so much that I'm afraid that I won't love Villains as much and I'll feel like it should only been one book. I don't know, we'll see. There hasn't been a book yet that I've read by V.E. Schwab that I haven't really enjoyed because I just enjoy her writing style overall. So on the 25th, we have The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein by Kiersten White. This is about a girl named Elizabeth who gets taken in by the Frankenstein family, and she gets really close to Victor Frankenstein, and he in turn kind of abuses her a little bit. She tries to just appeal him no matter how sickly his ways are, and I think it's just, you know, her gonna be in the process of the monster and things like that. So it sounds like a really great Halloween read. I have yet to read a Kiersten White book. Have I? I don't remember. But either way, very, very excited for this one. Like I said, great Halloween read, and I just love the plot, how it's kind of like Frankenstein, but we're getting like a different viewpoint other than the doctor and then Frankenstein's monster. So interested in it. Moving into October, we have Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor, which comes out on October 2nd. This is the second book in the Strange the Dreamer series. I really enjoyed Strange the Dreamer when I read it last year, and I can't wait for this one. I feel like I'll wait for a little bit because it's just, her books are so massive and you really have to pay really crucial, you know, attention to them because she writes a lot of detail, she writes a lot of in-depth. So either way, her writing, again, like a lot of authors, it's just beautiful and stunning. So I cannot wait to see what the second book's gonna do and what's gonna happen to Weep. It's basically about this lost city of Weep, and we have a guy that discovers it, and things happen from there. Very vague, but just go into it knowing that. I think that'll be the great idea to do. Also on October 2nd is Dry by Neal Shusterman and Jared Shusterman. So I believe Jared is Neal's son. That's awesome. So this is about a drought that happens, and basically, you know, you can't water your lawn, don't stay in the shower too long. Water is just very precious because they're fearing a drought. And then it happens, the drought comes, and basically everybody turns on each other, and we follow a main character named Melissa, and she has to fight for her brother in ways that she never thought she would have to because of this drought. So this, Neal Shusterman writes like kind of dystopian fiction, but so realistic. Like this could very well happen in the near future if we're not careful. So I really love Neal Shusterman's writing. I've read a couple of his side books and they're just phenomenal. So I can't wait to read about, like, you know, his son's writing too. They're both teaming up together for this book. Either way, excited for this. Also nervous because, you know, droughts. That's never fun. Also on the 2nd is Spark of Light by Jodi Picoult. This is about a clinic, like a fertility clinic and a woman's clinic, and a gunman enters and he holds all of the people that are in the clinic hostage. Then we have a police like hostage negotiator come into the scene, and he learns that his daughter is actually in the clinic. So Jodi Picoult writes very hard-hitting books. The last book, Small Great Things, was about racism. This obviously has to do with gun violence and also women's rights. So I'm very excited to read this book, but also very nervous because her books are just, like I say, very hard-hitting, very, you know, in touch with today's reality and with today's topics. And, you know, it's always, and the fact that it's going to be a gunman and things like that, just very scary to read about. But Jodi Picoult writes beautifully, so very excited / nervous for this one. The 2nd, that is of October, we have Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand, and this is about 3 girls that live on the island of Sawkill Rock, where I'm just reading a little bit about it, where kids whisper the legend of an insidious monster at parties around campfires, where girls have been disappearing for decades, stolen away by a ravenous evil no one has dared to fight until now. I mean, the cover alone, it kind of looks like a vampire novel with the teeth. I could be totally wrong. But I hope I'm not, because vampires, Buffy, Angel, yes, please. So very excited for this one. Again, it sounds like a great Halloween book. There are so many books that are added to my October TBR. It is beyond ridiculous at this point. Let's just add another. Also on the 2nd, we have The Boneless Mercies by April Genevieve Chicolte. This is a female version of Beowulf, the classic Beowulf, which I had to read in high school. So very, very excited for this one. Again, another October read. How many can we have? A lot. Moving on to October 9th, we have Bridge of Clay by Marcus Zuzak. I don't know much about this book, and I don't want to know because I still haven't read Book Thief. I hate myself. Also on the 9th is What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. This is basically about two boys that meet randomly, and it's kind of, the description says, like, you know, what if they're meant to be together? What if not? What if one of them tries to call one or the other and they don't answer? So it's kind of like a what if situation. So I don't know if it's gonna go into the book with like many different paths that this relationship can take, and you get to see all of them laid out, and then by the end you get to finally know what path was eventually taken. That would be interesting, so I'm hoping it's gonna kind of be like that. The way the description is describing it, it does sound like that, which I think is very intriguing. And on October 23rd, we have Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 7th and final book in the Throne of Glass series, as you can see behind me. I'm very excited for this book for multiple reasons. Number one, I do really enjoy the series. It's just a fun fantasy series that has a lot of different action, steaminess, plot, political intrigue, fighting, and things like that. Also because I am kind of ready for the series to be over. I know, horrible. It's just there's been so many books that I'm just like, I feel like we can finally come to a conclusion, and I close the book on, you know, Throne of Glass series. So I am very, very excited for it. I'm also gearing myself up for it because I know it's going to be hellaciously long and a lot of different things that I need to catch up on. So I shall do that with using recaptains. But yeah, very, very excited for this one. Definitely one of my most anticipated books of the year. So on the 23rd is The Wondersmith Call of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is the second book in the Nevermore series. It's a middle grade series that I just read the first book last month, and I really enjoyed it. It's about a girl named Morgan Crow who is quintessentially cursed, and if somebody like stubs their toe or like falls down a set of stairs, or if the crops don't plop up, if the crops don't, you know, do well, it is all her fault because she is a cursed child. She gets whisked away to the land of Nevermore, and she learns, and she has to go through lots of trials and things like that. So it's a fun middle grade series, and the covers are phenomenal, and it's just a really, like I said, fun series that I can't wait to continue. Moving on to November. I feel like all the Goodreads books I could find, I feel like there's more that are supposed to be released in November, but I can't find them, so I don't have a lot to read in November. The first one is The Devil's Thief by Lisa Maxwell. This is the second book in the Last Magician series. Last Magicians is kind of like a historical magical book, I would say. I really enjoyed the first one, not a lot of people know about it, but I liked it, so I'm very interested to see how the second one is going to be. 6, we have Arch Enemies by Marissa Meyer, which is the second book in the Renegades series, which I loved. I think it was my favorite book of last year when I think about it. Renegades is like your Marvel movie of books. It is about, we have these villains, we have these heroes, and they kind of clash. One villain kind of goes undercover with the heroes to learn more about them and to take them down within, and I really, really enjoyed it. Marissa Meyer is a great writer, so very, very excited to see how Arch Enemies is going to be. I hope it will not be as long as Renegades. That is the one qualm I had with Renegades, is that it was far too lengthy. Last book I want to talk about is 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty. Also comes out on November 6th. This one, all it says in the Goodreads, literally this is all it says: could 10 days at a health resort really change you forever? These 9 Perfect Strangers are about to find out. That's all it says on the whole description, which is very vague, but I have read all of Leanne Moriarty books, and I'm excited to read another one, because when I do finally read this one, when it comes out, I will be doing a whole authors related video on all of her books. So I love her books. Big Little Lies, What Alice Forgot, The Husband's Secret. I just will read anything she writes. So there are all the books that I am anticipating on releasing this fall. As always, there is going to be some that pop up later, like probably today, that I'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that one because I didn't know about it. So apologies in advance. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more that are going to be released that I have totally forgot to mention. Sorry. If you have any books that I didn't mention or that you're just very excited for that are being released this fall, please leave them down in the comments below. I would love to hear what books you're excited about. Always be sure to give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.